Hello and welcome to Beacon of Love, KRON4's celebration of Pride Month. I'm John Shrable.
And I'm Rob Nesbitt. What better way to begin this year's special than shining a light on Harvey Milk, whose legacy in the LGBTQ+ community illuminates as a true beacon of love and equality.
Now, while many people in the Bay Area know the inspiring and tragic story of Harvey Milk, what about the tens of thousands of people who travel through the San Francisco airport every day?
KRON4's Michael Thomas takes a look at the new Harvey Milk terminal at SFO.
Harvey Milk helped change the world when it came to gay rights, and now decades later, well, his legacy is shining like a beacon of love here at the Harvey Milk terminal at San Francisco Airport, welcoming travelers and sending them off with a message of hope, a moment that his colleagues from the 70s say they never could have imagined. For some, the name Harvey Milk doesn't ring a bell.
It's my first time I came here. San Francisco.
Travelers like Abdul say they got an unexpected history lesson at the Harvey Milk terminal, discovering how in 1977, Harvey Milk became the first openly gay man elected to public office by winning a seat on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, just a year before his assassination. And these highlighting moments are special for gay activist Alan Klein, who worked with Harvey in the 70s, telling me the terminal's tribute and the education on the walls still shock him.
A terminal at San Francisco Airport named after him is kind of amazing.
The photos on the wall in the terminal have Klein's friends protesting, and he still remembers when Harvey asked him for help almost 50 years ago.
He called me up and he said, "You had such a successful benefit against Anita Bryant. Let's do one to raise money to fight the Briggs Initiative," which he helped defeat.
He says the Castro was a place of community where everyone knew your name. And while Harvey was a politician, well, he was also a person
you could talk to. You know, it wasn't like he was on a pedestal or anything.
But he was also on a soapbox fighting for gay rights, a reality he'd never lived to see. And this terminal is just a small glimpse of what Klein says they fought for. And having this story at a place where thousands pass through not only educates people, but also may even start a conversation at home, which is what this traveler says is needed.
Even if you're not like gay or whatever, identifying as queer or something like that, just having that be something that is visible and like easily seen, I think it never hurts at least.
And while many things have changed, some in the LGBT community continue to fight for equal rights. As to what Harvey may think today, well,
Proud how far we've come, but also taken back by there's still so much hatred.
while there's still a lot of work to be done in the LGBTQ+ community, the idea is that you'll leave San Francisco Airport with a message of hope for the future. That's the very latest. Reporting here at San Francisco Airport, I'm Michael Thomas. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
From SFO to Golden Gate Park, the National AIDS Memorial Grove has been a place of reflection and healing for anyone affected by HIV and AIDS for decades.
And as the memorial nears its 30th year of being designated a national memorial by Congress, it's also playing a part in inspiring a brand new memorial in Golden Gate Park. It may just be the quietest spot in San Francisco. Aside from the ever-present chirping of Golden Gate Park's many birds and the wind rushing through the towering redwoods above. One of the few sounds you may encounter down here is the sound of Travis Matthews, head groundskeeper of the National AIDS Memorial Grove, tending to this very intentionally landscaped corner of the park.
Is that you move in and out of spaces of darkness and light. And I mean, you can see just behind us here, you go into the redwoods and it's a darker space, and then you come out into this meadow and it opens up to all this light.
This is a place of meaning to so many, but especially to those in the LGBT community who gather here for remembrance and healing.
I had a partner who died from AIDS in 1993 before the life-saving medications came along.
Steve Sagasser is the senior manager of the National AIDS Memorial.
This job was perfect for me because through my work I'm able to help honor all of those lives that were lost to AIDS and lives impacted by AIDS.
This may be an incredibly beautiful sanctuary, but the story begins during one of the LGBT community's most painful chapters, the AIDS pandemic, which took the lives of thousands in the city alone. And for a community that was oftentimes ostracized, AIDS only added to the stigma that so many faced.
Being aware at that time that the community, the gay community, and people with HIV and AIDS were being ignored and hated.
The memorial has truly been a beacon of love to the LGBT community, but its impact has been expanding more and more. A sign of this, soon to be unveiled in another part of Golden Gate Park. This is the Circle of Friends, what many people consider to be the center of the National AIDS Memorial Grove. In here are the names of some people who passed away from AIDS, but also those who donated to set this place aside. The circle also serves as the inspiration for one of the park's newest memorials.
This memorial is going to be the first permanent memorial in the U.S. for breast cancer.
Just up the hill from the National AIDS Memorial, with a view as far as Sutro Tower, construction is about to start on a brand new beacon of love, says Daniel Montez with San Francisco Rec and Parks.
Rec and Park is partnering with Bay Area Young Survivors, which is a group that helps and provides support for people that have been diagnosed with breast cancer.
Much like the Circle of Friends in the AIDS Memorial Grove, the Bay Area Young Survivors Breast Cancer Memorial Garden will feature a similar circular gathering space. So people can look down at the words and then also up, like at the view in this section.
Correct.
Breaking ground in the fall, this new memorial will transform this hillside, much as the AIDS Memorial Grove did a quiet grove of redwoods.
What's really exciting is that this is the first memorial to come to Golden Gate Park since the AIDS Memorial Grove, which was '96. So that's over 2 decades, well over 2 decades, that we're getting a new memorial in Golden Gate Park, and that's really exciting.
Still to come, and East Bay City is painting the town with pride and freedom. How a trailblazing mayor is celebrating 2 important communities this June.
Plus, discover the hidden history of Sausalito, once a vibrant hub for the gay community long before the Castro.
And after the break, we take a look at a summer camp where acceptance and adventure collide. Welcome back. Camp It Up is a summer camp experience for LGBTQ+ youth and families. It happens the first week of July, about 2.5 hours north of San Francisco, up in Mendocino County.
It started as the first camp of its kind for families back in 1990. I sat down with staff and campers to see how the Camp It Up vision has evolved over the last 34 years. Nestled beneath these redwoods of Northern California is where you'll find Camp It Up, a summer camp dedicated to creating an inclusive experience for the LGBTQ+ community.
I hope that it goes well.
Sam Carter Pearl attended his first Camp It Up when he was just 5 years old. The 15-year-old has grown into his own as a young trans man, knowing that each summer he comes to camp, someone younger than him is watching.
I think it's important to be yourself, to set an example for other people who maybe will be not as comfortable.
That acceptance isn't just for kids. Camp It Up has been inviting families with 2 moms, 2 dads, and all other family dynamics for more than 3 decades. Joey Stevenson and Pike Barber brought their son Blake for the first time last year.
I really liked that it was a family stuff.
The 7-year-old is a big fan of the ping pong tables, and his parents appreciate a week of quality family time.
You're going to get ice cream and soda.
In the great outdoors and a judgment-free zone.
When I was 14, 15 and coming out, if there had been something like this, I would have absolutely lost my mind to try and go to it.
One of the most familiar faces at camp is Yolanda Vieira Allen, who is in charge of Camp Counselors in Training, or CITs. She started coming to Camp It Up in 2007 and became more involved as a staff member 5 years ago. The CIT director noticed how most of the families attending were queer, but the majority of kids were straight. So she started outreach to youth, and last year, 65% of the young campers were queer.
Very exciting. As young as 4-year-olds were self-proclaiming their identity, particularly as young trans kids.
That win for Camp It Up was happening at the same time that legislation was passing all over the U.S., making it difficult for LGBTQ+ kids to exist, such as the signing of the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida.
Campers coming from Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, who were using pseudonyms because they didn't want their names put out there as being a trans family.
Camp It Up advertises as an arts and nature-based camp, but it prides itself on being a camp for kids and families needing a safe space and a beacon of love.
Where you feel safe enough to talk about what you're going through and especially about like your sexuality and other things you might not feel like you can talk about with your family or others around you.
To make good on a commitment to racial justice and equity, Camp It Up also has camperships for those who might not be able to afford a week away, making sure acceptance does not end on the last day of camp.
That every person leaves feeling energized and renewed, feeling empowered to be themselves, authentically live their lives.
Don't go anywhere. History is unfolding in the East Bay as one city's first Pride celebration takes center stage.
And San Francisco, once again, proving they are a safe place for the gay community. That story after the break.
Welcome back to KRON4's Pride Special, Beacon of Love. The month of June does not just offer a time to celebrate gay rights. The nation also recognizes Juneteenth.
KRON4's Noel Bello is taking us to Pinole, where the city's youngest mayor used his unique perspective to create a celebration highlighting both events.
If you want to get to know someone, they say you should take a walk in their shoes. Or in Devin Murphy's case, just take a walk alongside him.
He's exceptional, and he supports so many good things.
He is like at every little gathering in the city that we go to. He's very personal. I mean, he knows my name.
In 2023, Murphy became the youngest mayor in Pinole's 120-year history, being sworn in at just 29 years old. He was also the city's first Black and openly gay mayor.
Was there ever a point where you felt discouraged or like you couldn't do this?
The short answer is absolutely. It was very difficult to understand how folks received me. And so as I was trying to build approval, as most electeds want to do, I also had to recognize that, you know, I am who I am. And I was going to, no matter what, maybe piss off some people, but hopefully make a lot of people happier and make lives better.
One of the ways he looked to make lives better was to create space for community empowerment. Under his direction, the city launched a dual Pride and Juneteenth celebration, now in its second year.
It's about recognizing the historic significance of both events. And I feel like my purpose is to create spaces like this. It could be perhaps because I, sit on these intersections of identities, but I also frankly think it's just who I am as a human being.
Being the first leader of the city to tick off so many boxes wasn't new for Murphy. He was also the first openly gay and Black student body president at his alma mater, UCLA. But just because he'd been the first before doesn't mean it was always comfortable.
As mayor, I went to meetings with all mayors at Contra Costa monthly, right? And most of those mayors certainly weren't my age. Most of those mayors didn't look like and had backgrounds very differently than I did.
Those differences only emboldened Murphy to do more for his community, crediting his mother for influencing his passion for public service.
Seeing her work and social welfare and uplifting our city and our community inspired me to not just want to do that, but make systemic changes.
Murphy remains on city council and is currently mayor emeritus in Pinole. Murphy joins this walking group regularly to connect with those he represents. He says he simply wants people to feel like democracy is working for them.
I want them to recognize that they are seen and that they're heard, and that I may not know everything about their community, but I'm willing to listen. And I'm willing to bring their backgrounds, their cultures, their creeds, their understanding of the world into policy here in Pinole.
In Pinole, Noel Bello, KRON4 News.
San Francisco is reaffirming its commitment to the transgender community. This month, the Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to declare the city a sanctuary for people who are transgender and gender nonconforming. It's described as a mostly symbolic move, but trans residents and their supporters say this is important, especially now.
Many people, I think over 50% of trans people across the country are considering moving to places where they feel more welcome, where their healthcare isn't at risk, or families are moving to places where their children can access healthcare. So places like San Francisco, California, that are welcoming, I think are just making it clear that we want you here, that you are welcome.
San Francisco is the third city in the state to make this decision. West Hollywood and Sacramento have also declared themselves as sanctuary cities for transgender people.
Another East Bay city is showing its support for Pride. San Leandro is holding its first ever Pride event next month.
And it's spearheaded by the city's first openly gay council member. KRON4's Sarah Stinson reports.
I've been at the forefront advocating for our community.
Victor Aguilar Jr. takes pride in breaking barriers in San Leandro as the city's first openly gay man elected as school board trustee in 2017, city council member since 2018, and vice mayor in 2021.
Was welcomed with open arms to help move our city forward and to help raise our pride flag. Also spearheaded in raising the transgender pride flag in San Leandro.
Aguilar grew up in Los Angeles and went to college at Hawaii Pacific University. He moved to San Leandro in 2011 with his husband, where the two said, "I do."
San Leandro is a great place to call home, as my husband and I have lived here for many years and support this community wholeheartedly.
Aguilar says he works to advocate for the LGBTQ+ community locally, but also at the state and national level. As president of National League of Cities LGBTQ+ local officials, he's been able to meet other politicians like President Joe Biden, and he just spent 3 weeks at Harvard for the local politics and government program. Now he's planning the city's first ever Pride celebration happening this July.
It's a great opportunity to show that, San Leandro, we appreciate and welcome everybody who come and live here that are part of our community, and we also love our allies. Our allies are a great part of what makes the community a better place for us to live.
A goal he wants for the upcoming Pride celebration.
I want people to feel a sense of belonging. I want people to feel that they are welcomed in our community and that we're here. And celebrating our inaugural Pride is just a beautiful beginning to many more events to come in our beautiful city.
The San Leandro Pride celebration will be taking place on July 12th from 4 to 8 right here at 222 Davis Street. I'm Sarah Stinson reporting in San Leandro, KRON4 News.
Coming up, we head to a city by the bay that was once a haven for the gay community, long before San Francisco became the LGBTQ capital of the world.
And before we go to break, the Oakland Gay Men's Chorus recently stopped by the KRON4 Morning News. Here's a look at their performance.
And you can try to stop my dancing feet, but I just cannot stand still. 'Cause the world keeps spinning round and round, and my heart's keeping time to the speed of sound. I was lost till I heard the drums, and I found my way. 'Cause you can't stop the beat, ever since this whole world began. You know we found out if we shake it, we can shake up a man. So I'm gonna shake and shimmy it the best that I can today. 'Cause you can't stop the motion of the ocean or the sun in the sky. You can wonder if you wanna, but I never ask why. And if you try to hold me down, I'm gonna spit in your eye and say, 'cause you can't stop the beat.
Welcome back. Long before the Castro was considered a central and safe meeting place for the LGBTQ+ community, another Bay Area city played a major role in serving as a haven.
KRON4's Teresa Estacio takes us back in time when the seaside city of Sausalito provided shelter and support during a precarious period.
First gay bar in Sausalito in 1952.
I met up with Sausalito resident Joel Carr to unravel the past behind this seaside city and how it provided a safe refuge for hundreds back in the day.
Sausalito is one of the most gay towns in the 40s and 50s in the country.
Carr explains during that time to be gay was especially dangerous, even more so for one group.
The reason that the whole gay culture evolved in this town is that right after the war, all the people that were 1.2 million soldiers were being discharged a month in the U.S. And of course, tens of thousands of them ended up here at the Presidio where they were discharged, and they ended up coming over here to be safe.
Besides what is now SCOMA, a restaurant on Bridgeway, Carr took me to the Chamber of Commerce.
The Chamber of Commerce space was the premier gay bar in town here. It was called the Sausalito Inn. It was a safe place, although not entirely safe, because after the Golden Gate Bridge had been built, some of the cops and the enforcement people would come across the bridge. This bar had a buzzer system where the doorman had a buzzer, and if he or she saw one of those enforcement people coming up the street, would buzz and let everybody inside the bar know so that they could straighten up.
Carr also brought me to Sailor's, a popular Mexican restaurant in town with its own fabled past.
The houseboat community up the bridgeway here, which was becoming very popular in the early 50s, was home to the beatnik generation, and then shortly after that, the hippie generation. And there were lots and lots of gay people who lived there, and this was just about the closest place they could come as gay people.
Carr feels so passionately about Sausalito's gay bar scene and its importance, he is working on a book to document and peel back the layers of how it played a pivotal role during a time when being gay for many was a closely guarded secret.
You know, I have to say that the fact that almost not a single resident of Sausalito knows of this history. They have no idea that there were 8 gay bars in Sausalito in the 50s. And so I've been trying to talk to a lot of people about this. I've taken oral histories from people who were there, who are quite old at this point, and I'm anxious to capture as much as I can of this history.
Piecing together the past to better understand the significance of one small city as we honor pride this time of year. In Sausalito, Teresa Estacio, KRON4 News.
That's all for this year's Pride Special here on KRON4. Thank you so much for joining us.
We hope you'll continue to celebrate the LGBTQ+ community year-round and be a beacon of love for all.